Hey guys, welcome to today's video. This is just going to be part 2 of the Every Makeup Tip I've Ever Learned series, aka just 2 videos. In the first video, I walked you through how I did this base makeup and my lipstick and everything. Today, I am going to walk you through how I do my eyeshadow. These are just the daily tips that I use. I am going to keep this video as short as possible, and we're just gonna go ahead and get started. Also, click all the buttons you see down below. There's a shiny red one that says subscribe. That one's fun. Now, in the other video, I went ahead and curled my lashes just so that my eyes wouldn't continually be irritated as I'm doing all of my eye steps. So they had a chance to kind of rest while I was doing all my base makeup. I'm going to start out with going in with an eyeshadow primer. And this may sound like the least exciting thing in the world, but I actually got really excited about it. So as you're patting out your primer, you may find that you start to get creases on the corners of your eyes. And you're like, what the heck, man? I learned a tip from Robert Welsh. And that is, as you're blending in this inner corner, you want to look away from the inner corner, and it's going to kind of stretch out your lid as you're doing that. And then the opposite for your outer corner. So you're looking to the opposite direction from the corner that you are blending in. And it just helps to stretch out that skin and all of those wrinkles. I know, right? It's simple, but it's effective. It works like a charm. Now I am going to use a big fluffy brush. Fluffy brushes are great for not getting an opaque layer of color. They're great for getting like a soft wash of color. And I'm going to use a flesh toned, kind of more matte shade, and I'm going to set down, especially in my crease area. That way my eyeshadow doesn't crease later on in the day. And also this kind of helps to cancel out any residual darkness you may have after your primer. This is a tip that I learned not only from Bobbi Brown, but also from Scott Barnes. Now both of them don't even use eye primer. They say it makes the eyeshadow look a little bit cakey and like gummy. Right now I think it helps because it just helps everything to stick. But I think if you're using really high quality shadows, then you don't have to worry about them sticking. They'll kind of have that built into the formula, you know? I'm also focusing on building in really, really light layers. That way I get a very smooth transition. And I learned that from Laura Lee. She did a do's and don'ts video way back in the day. So again, that fluffy brush is really gonna help out with that. And I'm just popping this in the crease. That way you get a nice transition. It doesn't have to be in the crease. That's just the look that I'm doing today. And we're just kind of working that all in the crease area, anywhere that kind of pulls back. That's why I'm using a matte shadow, is because mattes tend to absorb light and make stuff look like it is receding back in space. Now, I am going to build up into a little bit darker of a color. Just a little bit of it. Again, light layers. Shaking off the excess, or you can tap it off if you want. I typically shake it off now. I just feel like that's a little easier. And also it's not annoying because you don't have this whole sound. And I'm just going to start on kind of this outer V. The first time I heard the phrase outer V was from Maria Cyza, I think is how you say her name. But she has this character called Angie Castellano. She is so funny, but there's a video that she did called There's No Eyeshadow Police. And that's the first one that I heard of the outer V. So you want to kind of like create this V from this angle of sweeping upwards from the outer corner, and a little bit downwards from your crease, or straight out from your crease. When it comes to maximizing your lid space, don't worry about just staying on your eyelid. That can make your eyes look really close and make you look a little bit older. For me, I have deep set eyes, and so it makes my eyes look like they're even smaller and like pulling back into my skull. I don't want to make them look like that. I want to make them look like they go out to here. And so I'm going to blend my eyeshadow out to there. My eyeshadow truly blends like almost like halfway through my temple. So that large outer V I learned from Alexandra Anele. And then there's another step that you can use that I learned from NikkieTutorials, and that is to bring it a little bit further inwards. So she blends hers like right into the brow, and I have a tendency to at least bring mine in this sort of area, and that just kind of helps everything look like it's just extending for a further distance than like from here to here. You're like bringing it all the way around. I go ahead and I work in circles kind of in this area. I go outwards to blend it in a soft gradient outwards, and then I go inwards to blend it in a soft gradient inwards, obviously. And then you can use whatever is left over on your brush to kind of sweep it back and forth in windshield wiper motions. I learned that from Laura Lee. And when I'm blending, especially when it comes to darker colors, you want to look down, like tilt your head back and look down, and then you can use the side of your brush, and those bristles, the way that they're shaped on fluffy brushes, will almost do your work for you. I learned that from Alexandra Anele. She just has the most perfect eye looks. But that really helped me when it came to like skipping, because I have like little folds here. So it really helped that not to skip so badly. I also learned from Steph Toms how to get that outer V shape. If you are not comfortable like really going in and painting it on, if you want it to be super soft and you find it looks kind of harsh, you can just flick it. Literally just put your brush here and just flick it. And flick it down from here too. It just helps me establish exactly where I'm going with this. Now I'm going to use a little tiny blending brush. It's very fluffy and round, just like the other one. It's just a lot smaller. And I am going to use a dark brown shade, and I'm just using a tiny bit at a time. I will usually tap it and then tap it so that I can tell exactly how dark this is going to be when I put it on my eye. Inner circles, outer circles. Wax on, wax off. You can even use that whole looking away from the corner that you're blending in on this as well. It really helps me not to have skipping in my eyeshadow. Nobody ever tells you exactly how much time you're going to spend blending eyeshadow. Oh gosh, I forgot to tell you what those were. So the blending brush that I was using is from SL Miss Glam. It is their SS57. And then the small brush that I'm using is the Luxie 237 blending. And I'm about to go in with the Royal & Langnickel Moda Pro BMX 402 smudger brush. So this one is just small and dense, and that helps it to pack on some color. And so I like to use my darkest shade right near my lash line, just to really intensify that on the outer corner. It kind of gives it like a lifted effect. And I'm just going to kind of use whatever's left over on my brush to come down and smoke out the lower lash line. And this is a trick that I learned from Laura Lee, and also Tati Westbrook uses this quite often. I think it changes the entire look, and it just makes your eyes look a little bit bigger. So if you have very small eyes, don't stay away from the lower lash line, but make stuff look nice and blended out and gradient. The more blended and smooth that gradient is, the larger the object is going to look. That was a trick that I learned in art school. But that trick of smoking out the lower lash line just kind of makes your eye look like it's casting its own shadow. That's how large it is. I'm even going to take my liner brush. It's an angled liner, and this is the Moda Pro BMX 498 line brush. And I'm going to get it right near my lash line, because when this outer corner is kind of smoky, it looks like your lashes are a little bit thicker out there, and so it gives it kind of like this cat eye effect. And then I'm going to use whatever's left over, and I'm going to connect that bottom line to the top line. And when you connect this, it makes the eye look a little bit rounder. I learned that from Kandee Johnson. And to even accentuate that, I am taking the side of my little smudger, and I'm going to tap it in the outer corner, and I kind of pull it out just a little bit, just the tiniest amount. And it just helps this kind of look like one shape rather than going kind of like this and then like this and then like that again. I just pull out that little bitty part. Now, if you want to make your eyes look even longer and bigger, you can take a little bit of kind of your middle shade, and I like to kind of work that out, and then you kind of have this automatically light spot right in the inner tear duct part of your eye. I like to come just underneath that, just the tiniest amount. And I feel like that kind of makes my eye look a little bit longer. Now I'm going to add my shimmer to my lid. I kind of want to use this color. This is the Moda Pro BMX 466 shade brush. It's flat, but it's also fluffy on the end. So where to add shimmers? I typically like to use at least 2, maybe even 3 shimmer shades in a look. One for the outer corner to kind of make it look like it is still catching some light. Then I use it for the middle part of my lid just to kind of brighten the eyes and bring a little interest. And then I use a really light shade on the inner corner, and also usually to highlight my brow bone. Out here it lifts the brow. On the inner corner, I don't really know what it does. It just kind of like finishes the look. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm using the side of my brush, and I'm kind of stamping my darkest shimmer right on this outer third, and I'm using the fluffy ends of the brush just to blend out the edges. That way I can stamp it for a lot of opacity, and I can blend it for a smooth gradient. So that's why I like this shape. And then I'm going to use a lighter shade. So I'm thinking I'm going to use this shade here. This is going to be my middle shimmer shade on that middle part of my lid, possibly working all the way to the inner corner, sometimes not. And then I'm going to use what I call a pencil brush, and I'm going to put my lightest shimmer on the inner corner and on the brow bone. This is from Moda Pro. It is the BMX 420 detail brush. I'm just going to pat it in a light shimmer. And I usually will reach down and pop it here, kind of on the top area. This is a tip that I learned from Jamie Page. Then I will sweep it inwards and upwards in the swoopity boopity that I learned from Allie Glines. That is the technical term for it. She literally just brings it up here, kind of in that inner crease, and it just helps it look a little bit more light reflective for whatever reason. And I'm going to use this shade here. This is also a great way to blend anything from your crease that is coming up that's a little bit too harsh right there. You can blend that line a little bit more by coming in with this lighter color. I also learned that the inner corner highlight looks really good from Jackie Aina. I think because her skin is darker, it just shows up so much like prettier on her. It looks so good every time she highlights that inner corner. It's like the most satisfying experience of my life. With eyeliner, I'm going to start with a nude liner pencil and go on my inner waterline. I find that it helps my eyes look a little bit more awake. And this is a makeup tip that has been here since like the 40s. There we go. Ta-da! And then I use a darker pencil. I typically try to find the darkest shade that I used on my eyes and use that as my eyeliner shade as well. And I just come on like the outer, I'd say third of my eye, and just line right next to my lashes. If your pencil is crumbly, just warm it up on the back of your hand by drawing some strokes and squiggles. And I have like a really kinky lash line, so I'm trying to straighten it out with this step here. When I am drawing my little teeny tiny kitten flick, I will usually kind of invisibly trace the outer little section of my lower lash line. It typically will kind of come down and then come up, and then it comes up at an even steeper angle. So I find that little tiny 2 or 3 millimeter section of that steeper angle, and I follow that angle, and then I'll kind of flick it outwards. So I'll kind of place it on the corner of my eye, and then I will flick it upwards a little tiny bit, just a couple of millimeters. That was a tip that I learned from Aly Art. And then from the top of that line, I will connect it to that other line that I made on the bottom and kind of fill in the triangle. That's about all I do for eyeliner. I really try hard not to pull on the outer corner of my eye because I have so many wrinkles there anyway. I do not want to loosen it up. I think that was something that I learned from Laura Lee. Usually my outer eye smoky corner goals are based off of Julia Adams MUA. She just always has the most satisfying outer corner, so I'll usually like connect it and then like just brush it into my lashes just a little bit. And I'm using an angled brush, and I'm just kind of blending this, just the top edge, because I almost always have little skips and bumps in my lines. And so I find that blending it makes it look a little bit more smooth. And I actually learned a tip from Lisa Eldridge the other day. So what she does is she will line the waterline of her inner corner. So basically just putting your pencil here and just working it kind of like from the first third all the way down to your tear duct. This makes my lashes tickle so much. Oh my gosh. So I find that it helps to almost like close my eye on my pencil and then kind of work it back and forth. Just working it right into the roots of the lashes. And what that does is it kind of almost gives like this elongating effect to the eye because you're accentuating that inner corner even more. And then you've got the outer corner accentuated, so ta-da! Now comes time for a mascara tip from yours truly. I like to take out my mascara wand and take an angled brush and just grab a gloop from the end, just on the ends of my bristles. And I go ahead and close my eyes and I just work this in and kind of wiggle it at the roots of my lashes because my lashes are blonde. So if they're black on one side and not black on the other, it just looks really weird, especially in pictures, almost like I have floating lashes out here. So I just kind of like place it and then I kind of sweep it, or I will wiggle it. Plus this is almost like adding another coat of mascara on the other side of my lashes. It makes them look a little bit thicker. And then I will apply my mascara as normal. which for me means wiggling at the base of the lashes and then pulling pretty much straight up. I learned that tip from Everyday Heidi, to wiggle to get that thickness, and then you pull it straight up to get that length. Tati says that you're basically thinking about pulling your lashes up and in, almost like they're like pointing this way. That way you get a more wide awake look, because if you're just pulling outwards, you're gonna get more of like a cat eye look. They may look thick, but they're not gonna look long. And then I'm just tapping and kind of sweeping the bottom lashes, because again, those are gonna make it look like my eyes are even more awake and they're casting a shadow and all that good stuff. And I'm kind of rotating my brush as I go too, because that helps it to break up the pattern of the bristles on the brush, and so it doesn't create as many clumps and parts in your lashes. And voila, that is the finished eye look. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, that you got some tips from it. Leave any tips that you have down below for the rest of the community to benefit from, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks a lot, guys. You have a great day. Okay, bye!